With us for a brief little chat, we have the CEO of BioInvent, Martin Welschof. Welcome.
Thank you, Matthias. Pleasure to be here.
First out, for people that are new to BioInvent, can you tell us shortly what do you do and what's BioInvent in general?
Yeah. So BioInvent is a very interesting company, probably, at least from my perspective, one of the most interesting in the Swedish life science environment. It has obviously some history. I joined the company 2 years ago, and for a couple of main reasons, which are still also very interesting characteristics for the company. First of all, it's a company which for European standards is one of the more integrated companies. And what I mean with that is they have discovery, targets and antibodies, preclinical development in-house, and also clinical development plus manufacturing, which means you can move very quickly from the discovery stage into clinical development. And that's basically what we're doing with the company. So we have our own platform that generates candidates. And when I joined the company, we had 1 program in the clinic. By the end of the year, we will have 4 programs in the clinic. And we heavily focus on immuno-oncology.
And you're currently in the process of a 2-part new share issue, where you'll bring in about 43 million in a direct issue to Omega Funds and about 190 million. Can you just maybe go through why do you use this system and what will you use the money for?
Yeah, so basically the financing is done. So we did it during the summer. We did it in 2 steps because we were raising more money than we had market cap at that time point. So we raised altogether in US dollars around 70 million, so 70 million US dollars. And we did that in 2 steps. First part was a directed issue. And we got in, Omega Funds you mentioned, but also AP4, Invus, Van Herk investments. So really Robur, really a nice rooster of high quality institutional investors who have, the view to really develop the company. So they're not in and out. So they're really very supportive, which is of course good for the company. And we'll use that money basically to support what I already mentioned after your first question. So to further push our portfolio through the development process. We will allocate some part of the money to the lead compound in order to continue, but also we'll put, so we have 2 programs running at the moment, and we will put 3 additional programs into the clinic over this and next year. That's what the money will mainly be used for.
Okay. And this will make Omega Funds one of your largest shareholders with about, 8-9% of the company. Can you tell us a little bit about Omega Funds, or how did you get in contact with them?
So Omega is with BioInvent since quite some time. They didn't participate in the last issue that we did. That was at the beginning of 2019. But since we could show a very strong performance in 2019, basically ticking off all the milestones that we promised, they participated now. Obviously, I'm just looking here at the ownership structure. So they're the second largest owner after this fundraising, having roughly 11%. The largest actually is Van Herk Investments. And maybe before I come to Omega, also a couple of words to Van Herk. So Van Herk has also been with the company for a long time. They're a very life science savvy investor. They have done Uplinks, which was a very nice exit. They have done Crucell. They're the second largest in Galapagos, and also very large investor in Zealand. So also a long-term investor. Omega Funds, obviously, as one of the large US-based, Boston-based life science-focused funds. Very, very knowledgeable, also long-term, and also quite helpful because they provide a lot of contacts and help in case we need some industry contacts or some input regarding our strategy. So it's a very validating stamp. And then we have, I think another one that I want to mention is HBM. They also came into the directed fund investment, and they are 6.1, and then we have AP4, which is around 6. We still have Merieux on board with 4%, and then obviously Avanza and Beaubourg, both around 4%. Okay. So a very high quality roster of interesting institutional investors.
I see. And a follow-up question to when you've now raised all this money, do you have any expectations of how long this will last?
Yeah, so based on current planning, and that always needs to be adjusted, it should help us to go really far into 2023. And basically pushing ahead with our lead program 1206, then where we have 2 clinical developments, one in liquid cancer, the other one in solid cancer. By the end of the year, we'll start 2 new programs. One is BT001 and the other one BI-1808, also from our internal pipeline. And then by the mid of next year, another program called BI-1607. And with this runway, I think we will be very good positioned to execute a couple of key value inflection points. And I think the important thing here is also we are not putting all our eggs in one basket. So we basically have multiple shots on goal. And as we all know in life science, even if you have excellent preclinical validation, it doesn't translate one-to-one into clinical success. And that's why we are propagating and pushing this portfolio strategy. And we got strong support for that by those investors that I just mentioned.
And you mentioned briefly the 1206 candidate. Can you bring us up to speed maybe on where you stand there?
Yeah, so with 1206, we have 2 clinical trials running. One is in combination with rituximab. And there we have already first signs of efficacy. So we have some complete response, some partial response, even though it's still early days and still not at the end dose that we need to reach, but very, very close. So we hope to have an update by the end of this year on the status of that trial, but and hopefully, of course, can confirm the trend that we're already seeing. So having some interesting responses. And then we started a little bit later, that was just after the summer, a second trial in combination with pembrolizumab. This is a collaboration or a program that we run in collaboration with Merck under a clinical supply and a collaboration agreement. And there was just early days. We just started recruiting, and we hope to have some first results at some time point next year.
And you mentioned the other candidates. Any specifically you want to mention that have made progress or any news lately?
Yeah, so both BT001, this is a collaboration that we have with Transgene, where we combine our proprietary anti-CTLA-4 with their oncolytic virus platform. And there we had a very interesting presentation just before the summer on AACR, and we hopefully can present some more preclinical data soon. That's at least what we're hoping for. And we hope to start recruiting for that program by the end of the year. And the preclinical data that we already have presented just before the summer, very, very strong data. So we have a lot of hope tied to that program. And then BI-1808, this is an antibody targeting a very interesting structure, which is called TNF receptor 2. And we also have identified this based on our platform. Very, very strong single agent activity, but also works very nicely in combination with the current checkpoint inhibitors. Also presented very, very good data just before the summer. And there we also hope to start recruiting by the end of the year. So also 2 very, very interesting programs. So by the end of the year, we have basically 4 programs, 3 different compounds, all first in class. And as you know, so we need one really to hit the home run. So, and then next year there will be another program, 1607. So I think with that, I feel very confident that at least we can show for one of the candidates interesting data, and hopefully for more, obviously.
I see. One final question then. You've extended your agreement with Pfizer. What does this mean, and what do they bring to the table?
So the Pfizer collaboration is very important and has been very important. First of all, it's a very good validation for our platform, the encoder antibody library and the first screening platform that they're using. And I think the extension shows that they see benefit in using our platform. So last year they selected 2 targets. And during this year, we hope that we have further milestones, namely also the antibody selection to those targets, but they might also select additional targets. So basically the extension just shows that they feel that they get value out of it. And hopefully, we get to the next milestones, which would be the antibody selection, but also additional target selection. So it's a very fruitful collaboration. And obviously, the near-term milestones are interesting to us, but of course, the more they select, the more will go into their development portfolio, which then, of course, also will trigger, hopefully, at some time point, later milestones in clinical development, which, of course, would be very nice.
I see. Thank you very much, Martin, for taking time and sharing some insights.
Thank you, Matthias.